It was largely a good night for incumbents, with the exception of Greensboro, in which you had Councilman Robbie Perkins defeat Bill Knight. They were nonpartisan races. In Greensboro's instance, though, you had two Republicans running against each other. You had Perkins, who was sort of a centrist to liberal Republican, running against a tax-cutting Knight. And what happened was basically the Greensboro voters picked the moderate in this case, and in fact turned out a conservative council member. So from the accounting of Sam Heeb, who's our blogger who covers Greensboro area politics, the council there is pretty much 8-1 liberal now. So it's going to be an interesting time in Greensboro.
And I remember when Bill Knight had been elected previously, it was a little bit of a surprise being a conservative Republican in an area, Greensboro, that had been traditionally liberal.
Yes, it was. It was, in some ways, it sort of foreshadowed, I think, the Tea Party rebellion, if you will, when Knight won in 2009. But it was very contentious there. I mean, he was someone who really was against the grain, and Perkins, I think, is seen as someone who's more of a conciliator. Now, whether or not that's going to help the city with fiscal problems is another question entirely.
Charlotte, that is an interesting story as well, Rick, because you had Charlotte Mayor Anthony Fox versus the Republican, Scott Stone was his name. It would have been quite embarrassing had Anthony Fox not been reelected, considering the Democratic National Convention would be in his city next year.
That's right, and Scott Stone was fairly conservative, and so he was someone who, again, would be perceived as a little bit out of step with the inner city mainstream, if you will. Fox has had some issues because, for one thing, he's having to explain how Charlotte and Mecklenburg County, at best, have been treading water on the jobs front, and the pending issues with Bank of America, with what they might do with corporate headquarters there, how they might downsize. So Fox didn't exactly have what you would call a walk in the park with his campaign. Still, he won big, actually leading to some speculation that he might challenge Governor Perdue in the gubernatorial race next year, which he has denied every time someone has brought it up. But the fact that the Democrats, or that at least mentioners, keep floating these rivals for Perdue gives you an indication of what kind of issues she might have next year.